Hey all, so today we're here to talk about this lanky little guy. Basically, I'm going to affectionately call him a trash bionicle because he was made basically from trash parts. He represents, I'm all out of everything, by the way. Like, I'm all out of those blue cross circle pins. I'm all out of the black normal pins. I'm all out of the basically everything connectors, like basic arm, like hand connector and ankle connector joints. I'm out of literally everything. So, this is the guy I assembled with the very last spare parts I had lying around. Like, don't get me wrong, I have a ton of random armor pieces and whatnot in a bin, but I have nothing to assemble them onto. I don't have any bones. I don't have any little connectors. I don't have anything. So this is it. He's the trash man. Although I've styled him as sort of like a Toa Mari sort of thing, even though I've got the Fantoka blaster simply because I like the neon green. The idea is that he's just a bunch of neon elements. He's all my cool neon elements against a black build. You can see he's got the Gali, I believe, the Gali masks as giant, oversized, aquatic neon shoulder pads. He's got a bunch of tubes, including the what was his name, Vastus green pipe. I imagine it's some sort of filtration system. Pumping the seawater out of him, getting the filth out so he can breathe clean whatever they breathe underwater in the Mari era. I don't remember. Anyway, so yeah, green, black with little bits of blue strewn throughout. That's him. My favorite little trash bionicle. Built him in 5 minutes flat with the pieces left. It was that obvious. That's how few pieces were left. I didn't have a lot of time to even think about creativity because there was nothing to think about. I went, okay, I've got these pieces. They can perfectly build 4.5 limbs. Let me do it. And I just stapled them together. So that's that guy. Yeah, no, just kidding. The video's not about him at all. It's about her. The White Sister, yet again remodeled for the umpteenth time. Lord knows, I keep coming back to her because I just am never satisfied with her. And this time I think I got it. If you looked at the previous videos on both her as well as previous sisters, right? Because she's the White Sister. There's the Green Sister, the Red Sister, the Blue Sister. You like the hand waving? Is that Italian enough for you guys? My point is, you'll see design trends, right? Each of the sisters has very complicated thighs. We'll get more into those later. Each sister has unique shoe design, right? So White Sister has ballerina slippers, but again, we'll get into that. Each sister has a curvy torso that is peculiarly feminine for the Bionicle system, like just bizarrely curvy in a way that a lot of people wouldn't think a Bionicle could be. And then each one has some sort of hairstyle, right? There are design trends that I carry throughout all of the sisters. And with each iteration of the White Sister, I wasn't quite able to nail those. I would get one or the other, but I wouldn't get all of them at the same time, meaning anytime I put her on the shelf next to the others, she just didn't look quite right. Yet here we are, and I think I finally got it. I think again, within the limitation of the very few pieces I have on hand right now, I think this is the ultimate version of her. Again, with more parts, or with more specialized parts, or both, I could probably do a lot more. But as it stands, I think I've hit the absolute apex of what White Sister can be in this current design. Just absolutely crazy. You'll see how strapped I am for parts. Check it out. Like this right here, these glacial sleeves of hers, they usually use one of those blue circle pin connectors, the half and half pieces. I don't have enough to do that, so I have to settle for a regular pin and then a cross thingy just to stabilize it so it doesn't swivel. Likewise, I'm so strapped for parts that I don't have enough blue pins to even attach this properly. Again, one blue one just to actually tug it on there, and then a black cross just to stabilize it and stop it from swiveling. So there are micro little annoyances like that all throughout her because I'm that strapped for parts. Like these connectors, I literally used I felt so guilty using one of these like ankle/hand connectors. Let me zoom in there. Sorry. Again, I have a really ghetto recording setup if it wasn't obvious. I felt guilty about using one of these just for like an aesthetic thing rather than a pure functional thing, simply because I have so few of them. This is my very last pair of black ones, of any ones really. I've got like a bunch of miscellaneous ones that don't go together color coordination wise. But this was the very last coordinated pair I had, and I used them for aesthetics simply so that I could use these Anika shoulder pads, not shoulders anymore, and Metro Nui feet to create the complexity of thigh that the sisters demand. So I went all out with her. I mean, like, look at the clavicle design. Clavicles, for God's sake, and a bionicle. And the sports bra. Again, she has a unique bust. That's one more tenet of the sisters. Each one of them has a unique bust. Each one of them has a different style of tit, for lack of a more nuanced term. Sorry, not sorry. And so cracking this one, now I will give credit where credit's due. Not the glutorian heads, but the, whatever these pieces are called, these shoulder pads from whatever era. What are they, like Toa Nuva shoulder pads? I don't know when they first debuted. Point is, I got that design. I saw that design. Someone, I think on like Instagram or something, I don't know. I saw a hot bionicle that used those shoulder pads for some variation of bust, and I thought, well, that's a pretty smart idea. That's genius. It like cracked the case for me. It unlocked the impetus to remodel the White Sister. You know, all I knew is that her chest would look better. I knew nothing else going in, but I knew that that would be enough to make a superior design. Sorry for the shake. So point is, I took that from someone else. Again, sorry to whoever they are. Couldn't give them credit. It was a quick little reel. I moved on. But I did add the blue, shiny, curvaceous tits. That's an original design idea on my part. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm certain someone else has done it. I'm simply saying that I came to this conclusion on my own. So credit for the bra, the boobs. I'm taking all the credit for myself. You know. Anyway, got a little off topic there. Back to the thighs. Where were we? So the design ingenuity on these things is just remarkable. Not only have I figured out a way to make those bulky, obnoxious, flat yet curvy, like paradoxically visually disastrous Anika shoulder pads into functional bum, but as a pun, BUT, I've also figured out how to make blue pins into half length pins that perfectly support an Anika armor piece. I'm going to take this off so you can see the underneath construction. Look at how preposterous that is. Notice how I've left little like millimeter gaps in some of the connections so that, and there are millimeter gaps up here too. You can't see them, but in the Anika connections to those ankle joints, the blue pins don't go all the way in. They go all the way in on the circles, but on the crosses, I've left them slightly out so that none of it is an illegal build, none of it's creating friction, none of it's anything. But everything is connected via like odd diagonal angles that are just half a millimeter off, and yet in concert, and look at that narrow channel this creates for the Anika piece. It's incredible. Anyway, in concert, all these little half millimeter off adjustments add up into one continuous thigh that actually works and is rock solid. You can hold it from any angle because it's all just applying even pressure throughout onto the other half off pieces. It's truly, engineering-wise, remarkable what I've accomplished here. Not to toot my own horn too much. I mean, I'm doing it. It's too late. I'm just happy that I finally have a version of her that I don't look at with annoyance. Because each of the other ones, something was always off about them. And something, I'm sure, again, there's room to improve here. I'm not going to pretend like she's perfect. There will always be room for improvement. That's the both the blessing and the curse of Legos and Bionicles. There are just trillions upon zillions upon infinite of permutations of literally every combination ever. So there's always room for something to be better. And, you get one new piece in your arsenal and all of a sudden a trillion new possibilities unlock. If you rejigger everything else, it's just insane. And for someone like me with pretty severe OCD when it comes to artistic endeavors, holy moly, it's just craziness. So, yeah, that's the long story short. She's been through a lot of iterations as I've gotten one or two new random Technic pieces from various things, and I go, oh, I can probably do this to her now. So this is where she's at. I'm very comfortable with her. Again, let's just zoom in on the clavicle design. Just crazy. In a previous iteration of her that I never filmed or recorded or uploaded, she actually had jiggle, like full on, like you could, because these are on ball joints, these two. They're connected to the chest via the glutorian heads. So she could swivel them up and down, and I guess there's still a little bit of it now. Like if I was a stop motion guy, I would have preferred the previous builds where she was like really bouncy. The issue is it left the top half of the tits looking disconnected from anything else when they were in down mode, and that didn't look very good. Because I like the idea that this is actually like a connected robot with pieces that are locked into each other. Whew. A lot of talking very quickly. But anyway, since I've been talking about the previous iterations of her, you'll notice that a lot of things from each iteration of her previously have been carried over. So like the ballerina foot design, that carries over from the wheelie feet version of her, which I believe was all of them up until this one. The head design with the hair. I don't know if it was on camera or off, but there was at least one iteration of her. Yeah, it was on camera, where I used the Strack head as hair, except for I had the blue tips pointed upwards, and it gave sort of like a spiky lesbian vibe, and I didn't really dig it. So I flipped it upside down, and again, maybe it still radiates that, but I like them down. I always wanted them to be down. I just didn't know how to get Strack's head to stay down in a tight but still legal build. And I've pulled it off, finally. Like, the back of her head's a little long, but again, within the confines of the pieces I have, this is the tightest, most secure, again, unillegal? Non-illegal? Legal. That's the word I'm looking for. Legal build with just perfect precision. You wouldn't believe how tight it is on the inside, but you can imagine, without gaps, without unsightly elements. It's just crazy how orchestrated it is. Let me show you an example. You can see the underneath, right? A little bit. You get an idea of how tight that is. I mean, that's down to the nanogram precision. It's just insane. She got her headphones from previous designs. At least one of them had headphones. I've changed them very slightly, but not much. Look at how smooth the back is. I mean, the way that the Anika shoulder goes right into the spinal curve, to the rump, just incredible. Just incredible. Wow. But yeah, anyway, some carryovers. Oh, and one more improvement I made to her over previous iterations that makes me particularly happy is the fact that the what am I looking for? The tit tone, the color of the cleavage. It finally has another element throughout her body that matches its color scheme. So before, I had this loud blue golly head that just didn't blend with anything. But now we've got the translucent blue that is then mirrored in her arm joints from Toa, Anika, Matoro. And these create the suggestion that maybe there's an underlying blue component to her underneath all of the black and white armor, if we are to view it like that. Or the reverse, that these are like further armor pieces on top of an underlying black skeleton. You get what I'm saying? By sprinkling more translucent blue throughout her, it gives, especially in the bone structure, it gives the suggestion that there are layers to this machine, and it gives sort of an authenticity to the tits, if that makes sense. So yeah, as far as the run of the sisters goes, I think I'm finally happy with White Sister. I think I can finally rest easy with her. She's very easy to pose with two hands. I'm only using one because I'm quite far from her. The camera setup's very annoying. So point is, I could pose her and show more elaborate stuff if I had a better camera setup, but I don't. So yeah, this is as good as it's going to get with her. I wanted to use as many of the cool ice elements as I had as possible, so I kind of forced in the Strack shoulders and the little Agori and Matoran snowflake shield. I had to leave Strack's axe on the cutting room floor, no pun intended, simply because the other sisters don't use weapons, and that's what kind of preserves the feminine mystique of them. Because the minute you give them weapons, it's like, oh, look, it's another Bionicle soldier robot Toa thing, you know? But to kind of elevate them out of that realm and make it more like, look at this bizarre usage of an ancient defunct Lego product into these sort of like erotic statuesque things, I've got to drop the toy weaponry because it just clashes too hard with the vibe I'm going for, which is like the sophistication of a level that maybe the toy brand is not built for. In the same sense that like the Barbie movie elevated what should have been just a shitty Mattel commercial into a genuinely handcrafted, compelling piece of entertainment. That sort of thing, you know? Elevating the material, like Andor did to Disney Star Wars. You know, where you're like, well, this shouldn't be nearly as good as it is, and yet. And so that's why I've made every decision I have made with her. That's the end of the spiel. Thank you for watching. I think I'm finally set with White Sister. I don't know when I will ever make another Bionicle MOC update. If I ever go back to the old storage bin in the Elsewheres, disconnected from my current abode, and collect those brown Bionicle pieces, maybe there will be a dedicated brown sister, and I mean like the old school style of Bionicle brown, not like the Kara Bar Baraki brown. Anyway, but that's for the far off future. For now, I think I'm finally content Yeah, thanks so much for watching, and if you have any comments, questions, etc., feel free to drop them. You already know I'll respond, so yeah, thanks for watching. Bye. We all saw this coming. Of course, I'm back with an addendum to this video that I already filmed because I've yet again revised her before uploading the video. So, yeah, here we go. This should be the final one for a while, though. I've left her on my shelf for quite some time, and I haven't felt compelled to change her. So, yeah, very few tweaks from the last time, from the last video, which is attached to this one. As you can see, I've modified her arms a little, so the snowflakes are no longer gown sleeves because that was greatly inhibiting her ability to pose with her arms, and now they are just the traditional strack positions, except for they're at a weird angle, which justifies all of that odd arm stuff I did with the last build, which was just there kind of for accent to bulk out her biceps, so they weren't like anemic, basic Toa limbs, you know? But now the bulk actually serves a purpose because they are wedged in at that angle via the bizarre arm accoutrements I made to the biceps. So yeah, they perfectly slot in at that size with one little pin through, or cross thing, whatever you'd call it, through the thing. A lot of thing talk. You get what I'm saying though. It's able to maintain its position without any wiggle, but also no stress. So yeah, and let's just take one more look at those. I did such a good job on the clavicles. The hair is still the same. I added a bit of a, I don't know what you'd call this, where my pinky is, a pelvic area. A nice curvature to that I added that goes up and into the Metru Vaki feet. So again, it looks like one continuous chest. And then we go around to the back looking for other additions. And oh, look at that. There's a little port right here. Curious, right? I wonder what you could put in that. Certainly not this collection of Lego beads. Anyway, thanks for watching this video. And yeah, hopefully no more additions to her. But if there are, you know I'll film them.